Hello, and thank you for joining our Food Distribution Program webinar on the USDA Department of Agriculture Foods Purchasing and Ordering Cycle. This is the first in a series of 3 FDP webinars planned for the current school year. My name is Amy Bell, Child Nutrition Consultant with the California Department of Education Food Distribution Program, and I will be hosting the webinar today. The purpose of this webinar is to explain the purchasing and ordering cycle for USDA Foods to help recipient agencies gain an understanding of all the behind-the-scenes work that is being done and to see why the timeline is how it is, including why menu planning has to be done more than 6 months before the applicable school year. So today we will review this cycle and explain how the CDE and recipient agencies fit into it. Before we begin, I think it will be helpful to mention some terms I will be using today. The first is allocation. This refers to the method which the FDP offers recipient agencies USDA Foods available through the State Distribution Centers, or SDCs. When completed and submitted, the allocation becomes a food order. An agency receiving USDA Foods through this process is considered an allocation agency. The CNIPS, which stands for the Child Nutrition Information and Payment System, is a web-based system for sponsors of federal child nutrition programs to easily submit and track the status of their applications, claims, changes, and USDA Foods requests to the CDE. Brown box foods are products which the USDA purchases for delivery to recipient agencies. Brown box items include both unprocessed and minimally processed products, as well as value-added items. Unprocessed or minimally processed items include items like canned or frozen fruits and vegetables, frozen ground beef, cut-up chicken, and brown rice. Value-added products would include items like turkey taco meat, roasted chicken pieces, sliced cheese, and frozen fruit cups. Bulk foods are items purchased in bulk form for shipment to a processor for further processing on behalf of recipient agencies. Items include chilled chicken and turkey, coarse ground beef, and similar items that are used in making finished end products for recipient agencies. Next is DoD Fresh, which stands for the Department of Defense Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, which provides recipient agencies the opportunity to use a portion of their entitlement for receiving fresh fruits and vegetables from the DoD. Entitlement is the dollar value a recipient agency receives to purchase USDA foods. An agency's entitlement is calculated by multiplying the number of reimbursable lunches served during the previous year by the per meal value set by Congress in July each year. Moving on, processing is the utilization of bulk USDA foods as an ingredient by an approved commercial food processor in the production of finished end products. In simple terms, it is taking a bulk USDA food item and creating a new, ready-to-consume food item. Private cooperative is a group of recipient agencies that band together to order USDA foods. Private co-ops receive USDA foods directly from USDA vendors and do not use state facilities and services. Private co-op members assign their USDA Foods entitlement and responsibility for related management activities to a lead district. And finally, a state co-op is a group of recipient agencies whose USDA Foods orders are placed directly with the CDE Food Administration Unit and delivered through the state distribution centers. State co-op members request USDA Foods through a CNIPS survey, and unlike a private co-op, these recipient agencies place orders individually. Now that I've reviewed some key terms, let's begin. The USDA food cycle begins in October when agencies have the opportunity to change their participation avenue for the upcoming school year. The 4 choices agencies can choose from are as an allocation agency, advanced order agency, a state co-op member, or a member of a private cooperative. The deadline to make a change and notify the CDE FDP is December 15th. We won't go into the details of the different avenues today, but we do have a few resources that provide information on the different options. The first is a guide titled Food Distribution Program Avenues for Receiving USDA Foods, which compares services among the state distribution centers, state co-ops, and private co-ops. This guide is attached to Management Bulletin NSD FDP 02-2013, Changing Receipt of USDA Foods, and is located on the CDE FDP Management Bulletin's webpage at the link listed on the screen. Additionally, the FDP has posted a recorded webinar titled CDE Food Distribution Program Avenues of Participation, located on the CDE Nutrition Program YouTube webpage. The webinar provides an overview of the 3 different avenues for receiving USDA foods in California. We encourage any agency considering a change to review these resources. I'd like to mention that if you are not changing participation avenues, then you do not need to inform the CDE Food Distribution Program. However, during this time, the state co-op coordinators will confirm agency continuation with the state co-op. The information is needed in order for the coordinators to plan each of the different food and DoD surveys for the upcoming school year. In late October, the Food Distribution Program sends preference surveys containing all USDA foods to our allocation and state co-op agencies to determine the most desired USDA foods. The results of these surveys directly affect which brown box and DoD fresh fruits and vegetables our state distribution centers will provide for allocation agencies during the following school year, and help CDE narrow the number of items listed on the pre-planner survey that state co-op members will fill out a few months later. Narrowing down the items also helps CDE fulfill more requests, as CDE must order each food item in a full truckload quantity. We strongly encourage all participants who receive USDA foods from our distribution centers to participate in these surveys to ensure the preferred items are ordered and made available throughout the school year. Items that have little to no interest on the surveys will not be offered. Preference surveys are not USDA Foods orders and will not draw down on your entitlement, but are necessary for planning purposes. Although each of the private co-ops may operate differently, members may be asked to complete a similar survey to assist their lead district narrow down the choices of USDA foods they will purchase and offer throughout the year. The next important event is in November, when the USDA updates the USDA Foods prices for the upcoming school year. The USDA posts the updated prices to their Processor Pricing Reports webpage. The first pricing report is the list of materials report that CDE uses to estimate pricing of brown box items. The USDA estimates these prices based on the last purchase price. The last purchase price is the last price paid prior to November 15th. The second pricing report is the average price file for processors. The USDA calculates a 12-month average price based on the purchase information collected January through December. The USDA publishes the price files around November 15th and are used to update national processor summary and product data schedules. These prices are the basis for rebating or discounting finished product prices for USDA Foods for the upcoming school year. Establishing an average value for USDA Foods results in a more favorable return to recipients and makes crediting USDA food values easier on processors. The third pricing report is the average cheese prices report. The USDA currently values cheese on a 24-month average based on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which is a third-party index. The USDA publishes two cheese prices, one price for mozzarella and one price for all other cheese, such as cheddar and American. These values are then applied to cheese for the purpose of rebates and discounts on processors' summary end product data schedules. In December or January, the USDA publishes the foods available list for the upcoming school year to determine new items, reformulated items, and removes discontinued items. Currently, there are about 250 USDA Foods items available. The list, which is accessible on the USDA's Food Distribution Web page, provides material numbers, descriptions, and pack sizes of the USDA foods available. The list is color-coded by food group and denotes items that are available only for processing. Once the USDA posts the list, the CDE immediately sends an email announcement along with a summary of the new and discontinued items. Our timeline for sending the list to you is reliant on the USDA providing the list to us. In conjunction with the foods available list, the USDA also publishes product information sheets. The sheets provide a product description, crediting information, and nutritional information for each USDA food. We often get calls from agencies looking for product information sheets for bulk items. The USDA does not provide product information sheets for bulk USDA foods since bulk USDA foods are converted into a processed end product. The USDA does, however, post written specifications for all USDA foods on their FDP webpage. Something new planned for the 2017-18 school year is that the USDA plans to post preliminary USDA Foods fact sheets for new items on their webpage prior to actually purchasing the item. In previous years, the USDA would wait for a new item to be purchased and delivered before creating the product information sheet. This change in practice will give recipient agencies a better understanding of new items prior to ordering. So once you know which USDA foods are available, we advise you to start planning your menu to incorporate the USDA foods you prefer. If you plan to divert USDA foods for processing, you should be developing your solicitation documents for processed end products by this time as well. Remember, all contracts should go through the proper procurement processes. Typically in February, the CDE distributes a USDA Foods ordering tool and the estimated entitlement rate for ordering purposes to advance order agencies, state co-op members, and the private co-op lead districts. Each recipient agency's estimated entitlement, also known as planned assistance level, is calculated using the total lunches served figure. The TLS is the number of reimbursable lunches served from July through June of each school year. The totals are taken from the claims your district reports monthly to the school nutrition program in the CNIPS. The USDA multiplies our state's total lunches served by their calculated meal rate to determine the state's total entitlement. This total entitlement is then fair shared to each recipient agency based on an individual's total lunches served. Your estimated entitlement balance will help you plan your USDA Foods purchases to determine how much you may spend on bulk items for processors, brown box items, and DoD fresh fruits and vegetables, and any potential pilot programs that a recipient agency may be approved for. It is important to note that this calculation is an estimate and is subject to change due to the state level over or under spending in the previous year, price fluctuations, or the addition of the federal 12% provision, which requires that the FDP entitlement be comprised of at least 12% of the total National School Lunch Program funding. Typically, between February and March, agencies are busy deciding how to spend entitlement as all USDA Foods requests are due to CDE in March. Yes, this is 4 to 5 months prior to the upcoming school year, and soon we will cover why. The CDE's FDP is customer-driven, meaning we place requests to the USDA based on requests from recipient agencies, which include our warehouse and state co-op members. Private co-ops may have similar or earlier deadlines for requests, as lead districts are responsible for submitting those orders to the CDE in March as well. Depending on how you receive your USDA Foods will determine if you place your orders in the CNIPS. If you are part of a state co-op, you will submit your request online via a CNIPS survey for items diverted to a processor and for brown box items delivered by the SDCs. If you are an allocation advance order agency and are diverting USDA Foods to a processor, you will complete a processing survey in the CNIPS during this time as well. If you're part of a private co-op, you may be submitting your USDA Foods request to your lead district, who will be compiling all member orders and placing the request directly into the USDA's online ordering system. Since we're discussing the USDA's early due dates, it's important to discuss procurement of processed end products. We understand that each agency has different timeframes for procuring contracts for the following school year, and that sometimes agencies must place requests prior to having a contract in place with a USDA Foods processor. In the event that the contract is awarded to a different processor after the request has been submitted, please let the CDE know as soon as possible so that we may work with the USDA to switch the destination of your USDA Foods. To assist the ordering process, I'd like to mention that the USDA has a USDA Foods cost analysis tool on their webpage. This tool can be accessed on the USDA Foods Toolkit for Child Nutrition Programs webpage and can be used to assist you in assessing the cost effectiveness of USDA Foods versus purchasing an equivalent commercial product. This tool contains a number of worksheets, including the Direct Delivery Analysis worksheet, which is used to compare brown box USDA Foods with an equivalent commercially purchased product, and the Processed USDA Foods Analysis worksheet, which is used to compare processed USDA Foods with an equivalent commercially purchased product. Assessing your financial assets can help you ensure that you are efficiently using your financial resources. As we go through this timeline, you may be thinking to yourself that these dates seem very early. It's important to note that our due dates are selected based on the due dates that the USDA imposes on states for each food category. It's also important to mention that the USDA has notified state agencies during the 16-17 school year that they may move up the current due dates for upcoming school years. Moving on, in March and April, the CDE receives USDA Foods requests and consolidates all the orders into full truckloads, as all requests to USDA must be made in full truckload quantities. These requests are placed in the USDA web-based supply chain management system at the state level. The CDE submits these requests to the USDA on behalf of our 765 state co-op members and warehouse agencies. Private co-ops and direct shipment agencies place their own requests in the USDA's web-based supply chain management system. However, all orders are reviewed by the direct ship coordinator to ensure compliance. We want to emphasize that this is a request process and not technically an order, as all requests are not guaranteed until the item is actually purchased by the USDA. To clarify, the USDA has not purchased any of these items on their available foods list. They, too, will have to consolidate the requests from all of the states that participate, generate totals, and then go out to bid for the products. This is something that recipient agencies may not have realized prior to this webinar. The USDA may only be able to order some items once a year, such as many fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables must be requested well in advance so that farmers know how much to plant. Some items may be ordered quarterly, such as beef and chicken, and some foods may be ordered monthly, such as dairy, oils, and grains. Our ordering coordinators will work with agencies that have entitlement to spend to place additional USDA food orders, as foods become available from the USDA throughout the year. In April or May, the USDA begins procurement of USDA foods for the upcoming school year. Often during this time, the USDA will notify states of items that they were unable to procure, or if there are any potential delivery date changes, such as a delivery date being pushed back to later in the school year. You may remember the avian flu epidemic in the 2015-16 school year. Well, that is an example of a time when the USDA was unable to procure some egg, chicken, and turkey products. Just as you have specifications for the food you wish to procure, the USDA has specifications as well. Again, the USDA has specifications available on their website for all USDA foods they plan to purchase, as well as a list of vendors approved to supply food to the food distribution program. Some of the criteria the USDA has when selecting food and vendors include foods be 100% grown and processed in the United States or its territories. The USDA aims to support and strengthen American agriculture, so all food products and ingredients must be domestic. Also, foods must support the nutrition goals in the Dietary Guidelines for Americans and the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010. Products considered for distribution by the USDA must align with the Dietary Guidelines for Americans and the nutrition guidelines for each program. Food should also be available from more than one vendor. The USDA strives to purchase food products that are available from multiple vendors to encourage competitive pricing. It is unlikely that the product would be considered if it is patent or a sole source product. The USDA also looks for foods that have a documented demand in a commercial setting. For example, vendors are encouraged to market their products to schools directly first to determine the demand for the product in the National School Lunch Program. The USDA product purchases are request-driven, so the list of available foods must reflect items that are currently being used or are requested by schools. And finally, foods must be produced by a responsible entity. Vendors must demonstrate their responsibility in areas such as experience and past performance through successful participation in a commercial or governmental setting. Vendors must also demonstrate financial solvency and the capacity to meet contract requirements in terms of quantity, timeliness, and quality. In May and June, the USDA awards contracts to successful bidders to supply the requested foods. Once the USDA notifies the CDE of the confirmed orders, the CDE will send schedules for USDA Foods deliveries to all participants and processors. These schedules confirm orders that have been placed to the USDA and have estimated delivery dates. Processors receiving USDA foods will also receive information from the CDE regarding which participants the food belongs to. For example, when a processor receives a truckload of chilled chicken, the CDE will inform the processor if the truckload of chicken is for a cooperative, a particular school, or many schools. If the truckload belongs to many schools, the CDE will let the processor know which schools and the number of pounds each school should receive. In July, the USDA will announce the new entitlement rate for the new school year. The CDE calculates and distributes the updated entitlement to all participants. This may result in an increase or decrease to a participant's entitlement depending on the meal rate change. This is one of those adjustments to the entitlement rate that we mentioned a few slides back. The CDE will then allow agencies to order more food if their entitlement has increased and will assist agencies that may be overspent by adjusting orders accordingly. Agencies who find themselves with additional entitlement may choose to add additional entitlement to the DoD program, find unallocated pounds at processors, order additional food from USDA, or order surplus USDA foods from the state distribution centers. It is CDE's goal to have every recipient agency spend 100% of their entitlement. Spending 100% of your entitlement is not only helps meet budgetary requirements, but also keeps the USDA happy as well. The USDA strongly encourages all states to spend their full entitlement each year. Finally, USDA Foods began arriving at requested delivery locations in July and continue throughout the school year. Deliveries are made by USDA vendors to the state distribution centers, private distributors, processors, and to schools large enough to accept no less than a quarter truckload of USDA foods. So as the USDA foods start to arrive for the new school year, and even before the food arrives at our state distribution centers, our allocation agencies and state co-op members have placed their first orders for USDA foods to be delivered by our state distribution centers. These agencies will place their first USDA Foods orders in the CNIPS in May before the current school year is even over. This ensures we can start delivering food in July and August when our schools are gearing up for the new school year. This means one less thing for you to worry about when you come back from your summer break. Our state co-op and allocation agency ordering and delivery timelines are located on our FDP webpage. This is a screenshot and the link to those timelines. Lastly, in July, August, or September, agencies begin receiving USDA foods through their chosen avenue. This happens to be a picture taken in August of our Sacramento Distribution Center stocked with USDA foods and ready for the new school year. I would also like to mention that in July, DoD entitlement becomes available for all schools using the DoD's online ordering system, and these agencies may start ordering DoD produce for the school year. We're almost done. Remember, we're here to help you. We have 4 ordering coordinators and several support staff ready to assist you with any questions you may have. In addition to the tasks I have already mentioned, our Food Administration Unit responsibilities also include entitlement tracking, invoicing, maintaining agency data, ensuring compliance with program regulations, providing technical assistance and training to recipient agencies, and holding quarterly calls with state co-op members and allocation agencies. This photo was taken in the summer of 2016 in the State Capitol Park across from our office. Marina was on vacation the day we took this picture, but we added her in later. And not to be forgotten, another part of the FDP family is our Distribution and Processing Unit. These are our processing consultants, Nina, Jeanette, and Juliet. Some of their duties include monitoring over 70 approved processors, approving processor agreements, monitoring processor compliance and processor inventory, and providing technical assistance and training to processors and recipient agencies. I encourage you to visit our USDA Foods Processing Program webpage on the CDE website listed on the slide for more processing information, including our approved processor list, processor assignments, and resources related to processing USDA foods. This concludes our presentation. If you have questions regarding this presentation or any general questions regarding the food distribution program, you may also contact me, Amy Bell, or Sherry Tam by either of the methods listed on the slide. We thank you for spending the afternoon with us and hope you enjoyed today's presentation. This concludes our webinar, and we thank you for spending time with us today.